Yo, what is up? Kohzz here. Like I mentioned back in my news video, I want to give you guys something different this time. And yup, here we go guys. Today I present you guys a review for Final Fantasy 15. Hot dog! Homeboy review! I haven't done one in centuries, and it's not about an anime? Say what? Yeah, I am sorry if you guys wanted to see anime related stuff. I'm going to briefly talk about the anime special because that do tie in well with the game. This is a review and I really have plentiful things to touch upon on, and I will be really honest here. If you're not interested in this, feel free to skip this video if you do not care. I just really want to lay out my insights and thoughts about this Final Fantasy title. I have planned this quite a while now. I know I am late to the party, but whatever. I will arrange each topic right here as annotations. Feel free to skip around. I will go over the story, characters, gameplay, music, and overall, my own opinion with a conclusion. If you enjoyed this and want to see more game reviews in the future, let me know in the comment section below. It will be most appreciated. Now, just relax and sit back and enjoy the joyride that I'm about to take you on. Might as well grab something to eat too, cause this will be a long video. And I just want to add this part in too. There might be some weird voice fluctuations because I was sick, just to let you guys know. Unlike most Final Fantasy games, the story for this is pretty straightforward. It's probably one of the most simplistic Final Fantasy story to date. Mostly due to the fact that there aren't many mistranslations and there just isn't much to digest at all. You do not need to do much research to understand the story. I do however love it when shit gets more convoluted because it makes you ponder and paint your own image of the game. Involvement happens which leads to theories and deep analysis, and boy do I love being mind fucking blown. I will go over the story precisely as I can in simple terms. This is going to be long. Final Fantasy 15 takes place in a universe on an Earth-like world called Eos. On this planet there are 3 continents, Lucis, Accordo, and Niflheim. Each of these nations have things that makes each of them great. Accordo is an island nation formed through a union of free trading cities. Niflheim is the home of advanced technology called Magitech technology. But out of all these lands, Lucis stands out by being the only kingdom in possession of the world's final crystal. This powerful crystal was a gift to the reigning royal family of the Callums by the world deities since the beginning of time. The power of the crystal can only be channeled through the Ring of Lucii, which is a hand-down relic that has been passed down generations to generations within the Lucis Callum household. For many years, since the beginning of the game, Lucis has been at war with Niflheim, who has taken over most of Eos by now. However, the capital of Lucis, called Insomnia, remains unconquerable due to the wall, a magical force field that is fueled by the crystal and keeps Niflheim from trespassing into the kingdom, but at the cost of the own king's life force energy. The king ruling and protecting over the kingdom of Lucis is Regis Lucis Callum, the 113th king of Lucis. An armistice was one day proposed by a mysterious Niflheim imperial chancellor named Ardian Azunia to finally end the everlasting conflict, but on 2 conditions. Lucis must surrender all territories beyond Insomnia to Niflheim, and the Prince of Lucis, Noctis Lucis Callum, and the Princess of Tenebrae, Luna Freya Nox Florette, are to be wed. Now I will go into the movie part of the series, Final Fantasy 15 Kingsglaive. This might be a spoiler, but it will require you to watch a 2-hour movie that is centered around the time right after Noctis makes his leave to Altissia. Plus, I doubt many of you guys would watch it. The game will briefly explain this anyways, but it will not go in depth of what happens during the dark days before the signings of the armistice. The story wasn't all that great, but it does tie in with the game, so I cannot complain about that. It also received a lot of bad reviews and scores. I guess it just wasn't a normal movie for non-gamers. However, the CGI in the movie was absolutely amazing and stunning. To be short, everything in the movie was just eye candy. I will talk about the main events of the film that goes with the game. This will clear things up, such as obvious plot holes. I will not say anything further beyond that because it does feature an original story with an original character, so watch it if you really want to see an original story that focuses on a character named Nyx Ulrich, a member of the Kingsglaive, an elite force devised by King Regis that protects the crown city of Insomnia from monsters and Niflheim forces. The power bestowed upon these elite forces is only fueled by the king's power in the Ring of Lucii. Nyx is a man who is seen as a hero. I will mostly be mentioning important characters featured in this. The movie opens with Regis and Noctis during a visit to Tenebrae. Noctis is seen in a wheelchair, which is not explained why or how he ended up like that. If you want to know behind the reason, you have to watch the first episode of the anime special called Final Fantasy Brotherhood. And out of nowhere, Niflheim Magitech army appeared and started to fuck shit up. Apparently, their assigned mission was to assassinate both Regis and Noctis. Then a huge fight breaks loose, and that leads to the death of Queen Sylva, Luna's mother. Regis then responded and attempted to flee along with Luna, but at her own will, she decided to stay back along with her people as they fought to Niflheim. The scene then transitions to 12 years later after the whole fiasco of the assassination of King Regis and Prince Noctis. Regis then comes to realize that he can no longer keep the magical barrier up for long because of his old age and waning power. He knew that one day, Niflheim will overcome the crystal defense and it will be the end for his kingdom. Of course, knowing that his time is also almost up, Regis concedes to the treaty that Arden and Zunia has offered, because Regis was tired of the constant fighting. As Regis agreed, Niflheim Emperor, Aeolus Aldercap, received the news and set off to Insomnia while bringing Luna with him. Regis grew suspicious as he finds out Luna arrived in Insomnia, because he ordered one of his kingsglaive to escort Luna to Altissia safely. Regis and Luna confront each other after all these tough years. They greet each other warmly as Regis delivers the sad news that Noctis has made haste for Altissia. And this and that happens. Sorry if I'm not explaining more here, it's just best you watch the movie to get the extra stuff down. As the treaty ceremony was about to commence, a change of plan occurs. The Niflheim's representative and the Emperor springs a surprise attack and kills the ruling council of Lucis, while spies within the city allows the Imperial army to enter by infiltrating the wall with the help of rebels and traitors. War has begun within the city of Insomnia and chaos broke through the streets. We then discover that Niflheim used the peace treaty as a ruse in order to enter the city of Insomnia and steal the crystal that protects the kingdom. While everyone was trying to fight to survive within the city walls, the scene then transitioned to Regis, who was caught up in a clash between the elite unknown knight. I'm not gonna mention his name because Regis has a quick combat engagement but ends up getting severely injured. Luna and along the main protagonist of the movie, Nyx Ulrich, comes to Regis' rescue. Nyx then engages combat with the knight to stall time. Nyx inflicted some damage to the knight and fled alongside with Regis and Luna. Because of his injuries and waning power, Regis ordered both Nyx and Luna to leave without him. He proceeds to hand over the ring of Lucii and entrusted the ring to Luna and told her to make sure there's Regis and Noctis at all cost. Luna accepts this quest, however she refused to abandon Regis. Knowing Luna will refuse to leave him behind, Regis intentionally creates a barrier between him and Luna to stop her from trying something foolish, such as throwing away her own life. The knight then appears with a bang, literally. Regis then has a quick final battle with the mysterious knight that eventually leads to his death. Did I also forgot to mention that the voice actor for King Regis is Sean Bean? Wow, I totally did not see this coming at all. Well, it is evidently that Noctis' father was gonna die anyways. Well, good job for Square picking the right voice actor, way to pay attention to details. Luna watches as Regis dies. As the king dies, so does the magical abilities that are given to the king's glaive and the crystal is power renderless. At that same moment, Aeolus and Arden successfully extracted the crystal and fled the city. Thus, this concludes the fall of Insomnia. There is still more extra stuff that happens after this, but this is really all you need to know before you start the game, honestly. I believe that the stuff I summarized was only about half of the movie. The last bit of the movie was epic, but at the same time, it's what's that word? Unnecessary. It was just pure fan service from that point on. Still, you guys should give it a watch. Now, jumping back into the game, during this entire time in King's Glaive, Noctis and a group of friends are just enjoying the good life riding and chilling inside a whip, rolling around Lucis. Yeah, you know, living the good life. And yes, it's an actual car, and it was gifted by Regis and it's called the Regalia. This car does look vaguely similar with the mixture of an Audi, Cadillac, Rolls Royce, Bentley, and also, I guess, the Batmobile. Hey man, I would love to have this car in real life though, it looks sick as fuck. Noctis and his friends began to travel around different settlements and towns. They began to learn more about the outside world and at the same time, undergo quests to help others that are in need. As Noctis travels further into the land of Lucis, he receives the horrific news that his home and kingdom Insomnia has fallen to Niflheim in the death of his father. In addition, it pronounced Noctis and Luna both dead. Filled with animosity and disbelief, Noctis impulsively makes his way back home to see what the fuck was going on. When Noctis arrived near the outside of the city, he discovered that it is now a desolated wasteland. Noctis, wanting to know what happened, calls up one of his father's trusted soldier and closest friend, Corleonis. Cor confirmed that everything the news has said about Insomnia falling and Regis' death is true. He tells Noctis to meet him at once. Noctis at this point began to feel deep anguish. His friends that were with him also felt his pain. Noctis then made his way to see Cor's whereabouts. Noctis arrives and Kohzz proceeds to teach Noctis the power of the kings. Wait, what the fuck? Guilty crown? Just kidding. A power that has passed from the old to the new through the bonding of souls. Kohzz tells Noctis that his soul is connected to the past kings, and he must claim his forebears' powers, as it is the duty of a king. After the explanation Kohzz gave, Noctis let out his temper and cursed at his father for not telling him the truth. From this scene, you can kinda tell that Noctis never had a strong father and son relationship. To line Noctis up, Kohzz tells him that Regis just wanted to be a real father for once and not just a king. Noctis finally accepts his destiny, and there sparks new purposes to his faithful journey. He is to seek the land and reclaim his ancestor powers, and lastly of all, exact his vengeance on the Niflheim Empire and reclaim for what is rightfully his, the throne. There you have it, guys, the base of the game, word by word.
The power of kings goes with you, Your Majesty.
All the characters in this game were likable. I love every single one of them, even the villains surprisingly. I will mostly be discussing about the Brotherhood because I just love how realistic and authentic they all feel and sound like. Their interactions with one another and their personalities is the next gen shit here. This definitely brought the characters to life. The developers really wanted us to like the main characters, and yup, they succeeded. I was definitely drawn into the squad, and I thought I was actually Noctis. This has that same nostalgic feel of the 4 Warriors of Light, square back to its roots. Hell yeah! In addition, I just love how each of the main characters contrast and influence one another perfectly.
Those ain't your bodyguards. They're your brothers. Trust in them, always.
My favorite character throughout the entire game is no doubt Sasuke Uchiha. I mean Noctis, Lucis Callum. So, seriously, they definitely look alike in appearance. Personality wise, not so much. Throughout his life, Noctis struggles to find himself and articulate his own feelings. He likes keeping a lot of things bottled up, but then he learns to express himself and let it out throughout his journey. Noctis is also quite a fascinating character, and it is not like your typical Final Fantasy protagonist. You know, mono, dead, emotionless, and just too fucking tryhard and serious. Compared to all other Final Fantasy prominent protagonists, Noctis is just totally laid back and just isn't that silent. However, he does show some signs of shyness by the way he interacts with certain NPCs and characters, and he tries to overcome this by adopting a cool dude attitude and exterior. He is a pretty badass, and his character develops throughout the entire game. He is obligated to his tasks and uses his father as a role model. After beating the game, I can confirm that Noctis made it to my top list for my favorite Final Fantasy character of all time.
Alright, mission accomplished.
Thanks to who?
My hero, Noct.
For my second favorite character, it would have to be Ignis, a marvelous character and a nice housewife. You know what I'm saying? He is Noctis' right-hand man and a go-to guy. As shown in the anime special, Ignis pretty much does everything for Noctis. He was a child with great brilliance and received special training to become Noctis' advisor. You can pretty much say he's a nanny for Noctis. He is a great guidance for Noctis and for the others. He loves strategizing and is a real tactician when it comes to fighting. He loves cooking and creating new cuisines too. It is one of his profession. That's it! I come up with a new recipe. Sorry about my poor impersonation of Ignis there. He can be really serious at some times because he cares for the safety of his friends and his majesty. He is the humorless guy in the group and just doesn't really seem to get jokes. Most due to the fact that he finds difficulty of reading people's intentions. He is also a perfectionist, and this is a characteristic that might be looked upon on. He does not like making mistakes and will always kick himself in the foot for it. He tends to take most of the blame for the team's downfalls. For Noctis, Ignis serves as his intelligence and poise.
Positively frightening.
What are you saying?
That I'm no stranger to His Highness's driving habits.
Appreciate the confidence.
Jeez, it's so hard to rank all these characters. The next character is Prompto. Of course, there's gotta be a comic relief dude in the group, and this is where he comes in. Prompto is the uplifting guy and a jokester of the group. He has a playful attitude and he always stays positive. A really outgoing, talkative guy, and a lover boy when he interacts with some female characters. From the anime special, we are shown that Prompto does not come from a royal family compared to the others in the group. Because of this main reason, he is always pushing himself to work harder so he can stand alongside them and be treated as a person of equal stature. He is Noctis' best friend since high school, and Prompto serves as Noctis' confidence and happiness. There was never a time where Prompto let his homeboy Noctis down. Whenever one of the members fell down the gutters, Prompto is always there to save the day. I also get this a lot by my friends too. They say I'm quite similar to Prompto. Go figure.
I'm gonna keep on keeping on the only way I know how.
Yeah, you do that.
Last of the four Brotherhood, Gladiolus. He comes from a royal family that has always been protectors of the Lucis family. He is the big guy and the oldest of the group. He is a cheerful, adventurous, and affectionate guy despite his menacing physique. Gladiolus loves the great outdoors and hunting. He cracks a few jokes here and there and cares deeply for his friends and his family. He kinda have a little temper issue and seems to just can't take jokes seriously. He is straightforward, and if he doesn't like you or doesn't like any of your actions, he will blatantly tell you to fuck off or just stop fucking around. You can say he's a bit of a short fuse. He is pretty much the second Ignis of the group, but with muscles. Another great tactician and a very serious guy when scenarios get steep or dangerous. This guy doesn't like fucking around at all, man. Oh boy, I don't want to fuck with him at all either. In the anime special, Gladiolus initially disliked Noctis. He was forced to train Noctis in the arts of fighting. After a certain incident happened, the two bonded in mutual respect for one another, which would then evolve into brotherly love and friendship over the years. To Noctis, Gladiolus is one that feels Noctis' strength, willpower, and maturity.
When you can't focus, I focus for you. It's my job, so let me do it, alright?
Alright.
I also have to mention this character too, Arden Izunya, Chancellor Niflheim. I don't even know what to say about this guy. This character is just so mysterious and there's just something I love about him. I won't say much because there's just not much to say about this guy at the moment. It's because, and also I just don't feel like it. Every time he appears on the screen, I just want to know more about him and what the fuck's actually going on in his mind. This could be truly one of the most interesting characters in Final Fantasy of all time. Yup, I just called it. After finishing the game, there are still many yet questions for this character, a man completely shrouded in mysteries, I swear. A man with an eccentric personality through the way he dresses and his politeness and just being overall flamboyant.
What about him?
Well, they'll not take you forth.
And what's your story?
I'm an impatient traveler, ready to turn ship.
Now gameplay. The gameplay. A fresh take on the Final Fantasy franchise and gives you a lot of freedom to your movements and actions. Sadly, the only playable character at the moment is Noctis. You can chain combos, sick combos with your weapons and just pull off combos with your bros, Ignis, Gladiolus, and Prompto. Everything that involved with the combat was fluid and worked well with the game. Movement of the characters were pretty realistic too. The only time the combat would fall is when the camera decided to become the enemy. When it does, you would have a hard time navigating your character movements and planning your attacks. It all starts to become a clusterfuck too. But with a new battle feature of dodging in the game, you can avoid the mess with ease. Combined with this, the game added a time reaction command, just like with Kingdom Hearts. In this game, it's called the parry. Boy, do I love parrying. Do you guys know Dark Souls? God, I parried that game all day. I got that sound effect as my text alert to my phone. A lot of people mistaking it for a shotgun sound. Yup, I definitely need some help. Most of the time, the parry would just be a quick counter slash, but in some cases, it can trigger another reaction command called counter, which leads to casting a free spell known as Faraga in Final Fantasy terms. There was magic in this game, but compared to all other Final Fantasy titles, the magic in this is limited and it must be crafted. I seriously only used magic once in this game. In previous titles, a lot of monsters were immune and vulnerable to certain elements. With contrast to that, 15 does a new approach on this system. Instead of only magical elements being effective on certain monsters, certain weapons are also effective towards them. I actually quite like this. I was never a type of guy who liked using magic in Final Fantasy, or just using magic in general in any game. Seriously, I really don't like using magic at all. It's just fucking cheap, you know? I only use magic when I was forced to, which is pretty much most of the time in Final Fantasy, because you want to dish out the most damage. There's a special gauge bar called the Armature encircled around your weapons. The bar starts to fill up as you do consistent combos or just get damage. Once the bar fills up, you can activate the special skill and watch as a massacre begins. Noctis will fly and warp at the speed of light while dishing out tons of DPS on the enemies. Consider this as a free trump card that is free of cost. I was surprisingly having a blast with the combat in this game. You can also use summons, but the chance of that is pretty random. I believe you're stuck in a rut or constantly falling in battle, the game will reward you with letting you release the summons. Unlike other Final Fantasy titles, summons in this game is completely devastating. They are massive, and this was the point of this specific Final Fantasy game. Summons will dish out a fuck ton of damage and just fuck up the monsters you are facing regardless of their size or power. Pretty much, they're insta-kills. I just love watching my enemies just get crushed like little ants and just dying in excruciating pain. Yes, you can say I'm somewhat of a sadist. It is definitely one of the most satisfying things to watch. It's that fucking epic. I tend to curse and say things to my TV after getting a summon out and just struggling to kill that monster or boss. Yeah, fuck you, man! There are also a lot of side quests for you to complete and acquire items, experience, and in-game currency, gil. Quest varies from killing certain mobs, collecting materials, and just scavenging the land. In contrast to other Final Fantasy titles, the way you level up is in a different manner. In order to level up, you must rest at a motel, hotel, inn, trailer, or camping to increase your level. There is a skill tree in this game that will enhance each character's stats that you can customly create. There are many ways to build a character. There is no such thing as a bad build. All of them are equally as good. Just build according to your playstyle. Each of the 4 bros have their own professions. I mentioned Ignis is specialized in cooking, for Noctis it's fishing, Prompto is photography, and Gladiolus it's survival. Each has their own perks. As you increase their skills, it becomes more rewarding. Well, except the photography. Still, it's a nice component to the game. I saved some nice pictures from this feature, some hilarious and just sweet moments. And yes, overall, the gameplay was solid and I had a great time with the game. Since I'm running this way too long, I will talk a few sentences about the visuals. Absolutely breathtaking and very appealing. To the water, land surface, rainforest, texture, this game was top notch in the visual department. Some areas did lack a bit of texture, but this is due to the console limitations, which is sad to say. A PC port would definitely bring out the true beauty of the game. The music in this game is fantastic, definitely memorable. I just absolutely love it. My favorite is the combat music. Shit gets me so pumped every time I enter battles or hunts. My second favorite track is called Apocalypsis Noctis. Oh my god, I can listen to this track for days. Why does this remind me of Skyrim? Listen closely. Am I right? Another fantastic track is Valste Fantastica. Elegant and sound fancy as fuck. I can imagine a ballroom playing this shit. Pardon my intrusions, madam. May I have this dance? And for some odd reason, this reminds me of Kingdom Hearts 2 Beast Castle and a bit of Hollow Bastion. Well, it is by the same composer. Nice to see her take some inspiration from her previous works and incorporating into her new pieces. The soundtrack used in this game is fitting and holds plentiful meanings to it if you really think about it. Seriously, just listen to the melody and just feel the emotion. Feel it! I guess that's only me. Yoko Shimamura did a splendid job in interpreting the story into her music. Every important event that happened in this game had a specific tune and melody playing in the background that really draws you in and understand the mood of the scenes. And with the addition of the detailed facial expressions, it brings the entire drama shit to life. Plus, in this game, there was an option to listen to the previous soundtrack of the other Final Fantasy games while driving or running in the wilds. Oh man, this was fucking great. I was able to listen to tunes from the first game to Dissidia. This was a nice feature implemented by the developers. I was jamming to the tunes. This made the car ride more enjoyable and also bearable. Florence and the Machine also did a collaboration with the game and did a cover of Ben E. King, Stand By Me. Square and her added their own mix to it. If you listen closely, you can hear the Final Fantasy nostalgic melody, the prelude. A really nice tribute to the franchise. Beating the game, this song is 10 times better. It really fits the game and I was surprised and I learned to appreciate it even more. What is this sorcery? To the tone, to the amount of symbolism in the song, oh man, great choice of music by Square, great vocals by Florence and the Machine. Now my opinion and final conclusion. Finally, well, overall yes, I did enjoy the game and loved it, but the game suffered massively from one flaw that really ended up hurting my rating for it. For me, it's the story. To me, and some may agree that the story was incomplete. This kind of ruined the rich experience of the game. The story was rushed and a lot of things just didn't add up well. Mostly exposition is what the game lacked. Some characters were introduced and seemed to have a major role in the story, but they were never mentioned or seen again. There was just plot holes that just kept popping up back and forth. Yes, the story was easy to follow, but it was just bland. Most of the short descriptions articles I found intrigued me, but it was not what the answers I was looking for. These new findings also raised my eyebrows. The game starts off strong, but near the end, it speeds the fuck up. Square did consider making this a trilogy too in the past. Probably that's why they took this approach. They didn't want to drag the story this long for a trilogy. In some aspects, I think this would have been a better approach, but the cost of it would be heavy, and it would possibly bring the company into the negative. So they just had to mash everything up together. At this point on, I was starting to feel a teensy bit of disappointment. I started to get confused, but with thinking a little bit, I was able to sort out my confusion. I began to worry as the story began to fall, and my vision for the game became somewhat obscured. By the end of the game, after beating the final boss, I was pretty upset it did not meet my expectations. As the credit rolled, I stared blankly at the screen, then switched my attention to my phone. Looking back at the trailers that were showcased throughout the years, we did not receive the majority of these scenes. Some were just cut or completely removed. One trailer that got me really hyped was the Omen trailer. Damn, that shit was insane, and I was amazed that the concepts of Versus 13 was still in there. This was exactly Nomura's vision of the game. I thought it would still be in the game, but nope, none of that was present. Like I mentioned about the dodging mechanics, that shit was OP as fuck. You literally could maneuver and evade any attacks, whether they be devastating such as an area effect spell or something minor. Parrying was also OP too, I abused the fuck out of it. Really wish it was more of a timed reaction thing, like for the Souls franchise. Doing it perfectly just feels so satisfying and rewarding in Dark Souls. Let's just say, orgasmic. Oh my god. Yeah, I know, I'm a fucking weirdo. Compared to that, I felt none of that as I performed those moves in this game. Another pointer that I would like to point out is how easy the game was. I was able to tear down anything in my path with ease during my first playthrough. I do not recall much Final Fantasy games like this at all. I would spend time grinding levels just to take on a specific monster or boss, grinding for money for recovery items, and looking for best weapons in the previous titles. Whereas in 15, I limited myself to the grinding and tried my best to stay under level as possible to give myself a challenge. I think I only gone one game over screen in my 40-hour playthrough. Compared to most Final Fantasy titles, I got over hundreds. I hope that a harder difficulty will be added in the future. Even though I did not find the story as good as the gameplay, it was still a unique and fun but flawed experience. Who says you can't have fun? I'm still currently playing it right now after beating it, and there is still a large amount of quests and challenges to complete. I plan to 100% this game like most games I play. So far, I'm at the 70 to 80% mark in terms of completion of quests and dungeons. Square is infamous for incorporating real-life mythos and religious connection in the Final Fantasy titles. It's been their main formula since the first game. For instance, Norse, Greek, and Christianity. As from what I've gathered from playing most of the games, Square favors Norse and Greek mythology the most. They just love taking inspirations from these and just adding their own twist to it. This is the main reason why I love the franchise so much. I am a complete nerd when it comes to these type of topics. I love hearing stories of gods, deities, angels, demons, etc. In this game, it is not presented that well, and if you really think critically and actually pay attention to close detail throughout the game, you can identify some of them. This will require a lot of times roaming the land and exploring dungeons, but good thing the internet got you covered. There are incredible theories going around lately, and boy, it's mind-blowing. From all the theories, I also devised theories of my own. This game could have been amazing if they explained more of the history in the world of 15. I really wish that Square would have done a better job in presenting them. Now to shine some light on the subject here, Square and Tabata know that the game is incomplete as fuck. To polish the story up, they announced that the game will be getting DLCs featuring other characters and the game will receive additional cutscenes. Yes, you heard me right. 15 will be getting more story sequence added to the game and some might be changed. These missing cutscenes will be free by the way, you do not need to buy the DLCs or the season pass to get them. Most of the missing parts are also scattered throughout the trailers for the game for the past years. I find this a plus and I hope this will cover up tons of plot holes. Praise the Lord. Now, there's a rumor that the choice you make in this game will determine your ending. In short, there will be multiple endings. This is still rumor, so don't take it too seriously. Furthermore, they said that they're going to add more characters to be playable and special bosses and events. Moreover, an unannounced large expansion pack is in discussion. All I'm gonna say it's hyped as fuck. but from what I've learned in the past through games and anime, don't have too much high hopes. Seems that Square really wants to 100% solidify 15 before moving on to their next title. In my opinion, I believe Square released the game too early, but they just had to do it because there was a certain deadline that they had to meet. People are blaming the director switching over to Tabata, but really you just can't blame him. The game was a total mess when he rose as a new director for the game. He tried his best, and in the end, he did all he could. Still, Tabata is still unsatisfied and aware of the fans' stance of the game. The proof is that he is still working hard to solidify the story as of today. He will never let his fans down. Based ass Tabata. I am optimistic about these upcoming changes in addition to the game. Now the big question, should you play Final Fantasy 15? Go for it, why not? The game is still entertaining even though the story is a bit lacklustering and seriously missing bare bones. If you don't care much about the story that much like me and the others, this will be an overall enjoyable experience for you. This game was advertised for first timers of the franchise anyways. It reminds you every single time you start up the game. If I were to score this being biased, I would give it an 8. To score it without being a total fanboy, it hurts just to say it, but I gotta give this title a solid 7. It could have been masterpiece for Square, but it was too incomplete and rushed. I wanted Square to flesh out the story and the extra characters as much as possible so the story would be more coherent. I will reevaluate the game again once the added scenes and contents are in. Hopefully, I can kick it up to an 8 or even better, a 9. Whew, that was a mouthful. Sorry for the long review. I tend to have a bad habit of going and explaining stuff way too much. This length is equivalent to an essay. God damn! Well, at least I'm used to this. It will help me out in the future. This is the end of the video. I hope some of you guys are interested in the game, and I bet I put some of you guys to sleep. Yo, wake up! Like I mentioned in the intro, this might seem like a video that does not correlate to what my channel is about, but I really wanted to make this. People tend to make separate channels for these, but I really don't give a fuck, really. Plus, I just want to try something new. I'm really just gonna do whatever I want to do and what I like to do. Maybe this is just a one-time thing, but I did enjoy making this video, so we'll see in the future. I know I don't get many views and all, but that doesn't really matter to me. It's just having my thoughts on the interwebs and just having it archived for my future self just makes it all worth it. You know, it's like a personal portfolio for some of my creations and accomplishments. I just love to look back at these throughout the years. And for those who actually complete the game, did you guys like it or did you dislike it? Leave your rating too. I want to see what you guys think. Please refrain from leaving spoilers for the game. If you want to discuss some spoilers, please make sure to put a warning before you post. For any of you guys who had trudged or skipped through this entire video to this point, thank you for watching. If you hate or dislike this video, do what you gotta do. If you want more content like this, I mean about games and shit like that, sub and let me know in the comment section below. Kohzz out.